Hello. This is the beginning of a vlog. A little weekend moment. So I have been having some issues. I explained it in the beginning of this other vlog that I never finished, so I'll insert that clip here. So a little update. I know that this is a NaNoWriMo week 1 vlog. This has been a busy, traumatic week. Next week will also be busy and traumatic. But let me just tell you why it's been a hectic week. So, content warning moving forward about like birth control situations, bleeding, things like that. So I, about 4 months ago, got an IUD. And I got the IUD because my doctor wanted me to have birth control for when I start testosterone, so I like don't have to worry about it, you know? And because on testosterone you typically don't bleed, so I wouldn't like necessarily know if I was showing signs of pregnancy. So it can be a little riskier. So I went with it. I got the IUD. I've had an IUD before and I didn't love it, like how it made me feel emotionally, but that was the one that has like the highest dose of hormones. So I got one that has slightly less hormones, and I didn't go with the copper IUD because there's like a higher chance that that can get embedded when you put it in, especially if you've had a baby, a vaginal birth. So ever since I've got it, I've been bleeding every single day. I went to my doctor like maybe like a week or so after I got it put in, and I was like, something is wrong. I'm bleeding. I hadn't had a period since before I was pregnant. So I was like, something is wrong. And also I was really crampy. My doctor's like, it's probably fine. Probably just your period coming back. It happens usually with like parents who've given birth who are like around 6 months postpartum, like totally normal. And I was like, is it normal? Like, I was just like, this feels wrong. And she convinced me to keep it in. Fellas, listen. The medical industrial complex, the Western medical industrial complex, is so fucked up, especially when it comes to taking away your own agency in the intuition that you have about your body. So this is my reminder to you right now that your intuition is fucking powerful. You know your body so much more than any doctor, any specialist, any medical professional whatsoever does. Don't let them gaslight you into thinking that your pain is not real or valid. Okay, so I just want to say that. So then I go, so I don't get the IUD taken out originally. And then Cody stops working at the school to start student teaching, and we lose health insurance. So I can't even go back to the doctor. So finally, about a couple weeks ago, I was like, you know what? This is fucked up. I need to go to the doctor. I need to get this thing out. And so I applied for Oregon Health Plan, which is like the Medicaid option here. And so finally got insurance. So I made an appointment with my doctor. Actually, she was on vacation, so it was another doctor in the building. But for that, my doctor's office, because they're like private or something, I don't know, they have to specifically go in and like request to take patients who are on Medicaid, and it's like this whole fucking thing. We had to deal with it with Otto because Otto's on that health insurance. It was so annoying. So anyway, I just made the appointment and I was like, this is honestly an emergency, like this needs to come out of me. And so I made the appointment, and then I got there, and there's this receptionist that works there who is the worst person I have ever interacted with in my life. Like, oh my God, just the worst. So she just took a lot of, she really like fed off of the interaction of being able to tell me that I could not have my appointment because it was not an emergency regardless of how I feel about it. So I made an appointment for the next morning for Planned Parenthood, which is like super stoked to take Medicaid insurance, so great. But then I knew I was taking a risk because I didn't know who my doctor was. But I will say I have specifically requested that I only see female presenting doctors, okay? And so I went to my appointment, and it was actually a certified nurse practitioner who was taking my IUD out, and she pulled. So if you don't know like how you take it out, they're like little strings attached to it, so you can just pull it out, and like you can really do it on your own. It's really just like if there would be potentially like an issue with it, that's when it would be dangerous to not do it on your own. But and I did actually try to take it out myself, but it was just wouldn't budge. So I was like, I'm not gonna like try any harder than this. So anyway, so she pulls, and she pulls the string out, and nothing else comes with it. So she's like, okay, and I can just see the panic on her face, like she was not masking it well. So she's like, I'm just gonna go talk to the doctor real quick. So she brings in this fucking old white man, balding, fully bald, actually fully bald, and they bring in like an internal ultrasound machine, and they're like searching around inside of me for my IUD, and they can't find it. They literally cannot find it. So there is an IUD lost inside of my body currently. It's so fucking terrifying. And so on Tuesday, I have an ultrasound, and then on Thursday I go in for the removal surgery. I've never had any kind of surgery before, so I'm very nervous. I've only had an IV in once, which was when I had auto, and they just like require that you have an IV. I think it'll be fine, but I've never been like put to sleep. I don't know if I'll go all the way to sleep or if they'll just like numb down there, but I'm feeling a lot of anxiety about it. So in addition to that, they have located the IUD on an x-ray, and it's somewhere in my abdomen. So I'm getting surgery next week. So I have a week of just feeling sorry for myself. So I decided, why not read some trashy, queer, monster fuck romance. We're gonna start with a short story called Ronian Triad, a Black Bramble story by Rosalind Chase. The galaxy is the nipple. I actually just read this earlier today, and it was pretty good, very short. It's only like 24 pages, so I read it really fast, and it was interesting because there's this character in it that's like an alien, but like a third gender, and so they like receive pleasure like empathetically, which felt like was kind of an annoying characteristic. Just kind of played into the idea of like, well, we don't know how the fuck non-binary people are supposed to like experience pleasure, or intersex people, so we're just gonna say that they can gain pleasure off the pleasure of others, you know? Just felt weird to me. So I don't know, not off to a great start, but here are the 3 books for the week. I mean, for the weekend, maybe, we'll see. So first we have Dithered Hearts. I don't know what dithered means. A Taboo Fantasy Romance by Chase Verity. A Cinderella retelling that I think is queer and maybe polyamorous. I'm not sure. But it has to do with like the Cinderella character figuring out their pronouns, their identity. But it's also like a taboo romance, so that's fun. Then I have this book called New Ground by Alex Silver. And this is a male-male non-binary psychic romance. I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. Then I found this author who does a lot of like queer monster fuck romance. I don't know why, okay? I'm coping in a weird way. But this one is The Sea Monster's Mate, a gay paranormal romance with tentacles. This author has another one. It's Delaney Rain. This author has another book coming out in December that's like an alien polyamory romance. So I did pre-order that. But those are my selections. I might read more if I'm like really vibing with it. I don't know. This might just be like a little weekend vlog. But yeah, it's been a weird time. It's been a weird ass time. Right now I need to print off some of my chapbooks. So I actually tried to get my poetry chapbooks printed at a local press or printing company in like this town kind of close to me. And they told me that the poems were too graphic and they didn't feel comfortable printing it. So I'm printing them at home, but it's super fun. This is Diary of a Pregnant Boy. And then I also have Gertrude Stein Teaches Me How to Come. I'm not sure if I'll keep it on colored like paper for the, or if I just like it white. I think I might keep this one white. I think it's better. I don't know. Hello, it's been a few days, it is no longer the weekend, but I am gonna still continue to read my trashy queer romance. But I wanted to show you real quick some of the books that I've gotten recently. Two of them are from Pango, of course. One of them is just from Bookshop. But these are the upcoming climate fiction books that we'll be reading. I feel like I haven't talked about the climate fiction book club for a while, but the next one is going to be on my channel. The last one that was supposed to be on my channel was going to be in August, but we didn't do it because it was just hurricane season, forest fire season, stressful, not a good time, honestly, to be reading Cli-Fi. So we didn't talk about that, and we were reading a book that none of us were really vibing with anyway. So we all have our next books picked out, and yeah, this is the next one. This one I got from Bookshop because it's a fairly new release. And this is Fox Hunt by Rem Wigmore. This is a lush solar punk fantasy, which I'm so excited for. Solar punk is kind of a different take on climate fiction, where it's meant to be more like like it talks about positive futuristic outcomes post climate change, and I think it's gonna be amazing. Obviously I have a thing for foxes already. So yeah, we'll be doing the live show for this on whatever the last Sunday is in November, probably. So this cover is fucking gorgeous. And then in December, we're gonna be reading Bewilderment by Richard Powers. And I got this one off Pango Books for like $10 or something. I don't really know what this one is about, but a lot of people are talking about it. It's like a much more mainstream hyped climate fiction, which I'm totally down for experiencing. It's a winner of the Pulitzer Prize, so that's always fun to like have that experience. Otto may have a little sap in their hair, don't worry about it. And then in January on Will's channel, we'll be reading My Year of Meats by Ruth L. Ozeki, which I did read another book by them. What was that book called? I read it a long ass time ago. I think this is maybe actually published before that, but this is like more about the meat industry, I think, or more about like food and climate change. So interested in this as well. Also because Will, I think, is the only vegan in our climate fiction book club, so I think that will be an interesting discussion. But yeah, I just wanted to show you. These are the next upcoming books that we'll be reading.
Get to that 125 subscriber mark so that I can make a quick and Messie's cake as I discussed.
Subscribe to Andrea. I'm literally begging you, please.
Like, I have talked about my writing on it a fair bit, but like I want to be able to utilize it as something where.
Hello everyone, it's bath time. And I'm gonna be wearing my pajamas all day. That's just how it is. I have started with New Ground, an Aspire verse novel by Alex Silver. I'm actually really liking this book. I didn't expect that. I thought these were all just gonna be trashy, poorly written, you know, just a gay old time. But this book is actually really good. Okay, here's why. So we have 3 people involved in this book. Oh, that's a lot of water you just dumped on the floor. So there's Henry, who's this like rich, spoiled little twink, and his dad is like a senator, but Henry is a telepath. He can read thoughts, but he is disguised as a telekinetic by his father, because his father doesn't want like people to know that his son can like read their minds and like gain intel. So to, I guess, like quell his aura or something, he has to have a human anchor who's like compatible. So his human anchor is a guy named William, who is like kind of a daddy, like has a daddy king. Okay, so then William's partner is a gender fluid person named Dana, and Dana uses A or M pronouns, and A are a telekinetic, like actually telekinetic. So anyway, the 3 of them kind of have this dynamic where William is like a daddy to Henry, like in a kinky way, and Dana likes to watch, but also like is getting kind of creating this own dynamic with Henry. So it's not necessarily like Henry's just William's little plaything, like it's getting more dynamic, which is more than I could have imagined in this short period of time that this book is. I'm like only like 30% in. Like, what else is gonna happen? But I'm actually like very intrigued in the storyline. One thing that I really like, I am a little bit reading these as like a case study, right? I think I mentioned that because I'm writing a queer romance myself that involves 3 people. So one thing that I really like is all of the communication happening on page. Like, I think that's so great when authors include that. And like, Henry is like very inexperienced, like a little bit naive, and William is just like, we can stop, like, we're only gonna do this if you're comfortable. And same with the relationship dynamic between William and Dana. They're like, if this needs to change, it'll change, you know, like, it's all based on everyone's comfort level. There's lots of communication, a lot of consent, I mean, like, only consensual things, and that's like on the page, and I love that. So that's something that I'm definitely like gaining, that I don't want to just assume the reader will like imply that there is consent, you know. I think that it's important to write it into romance. So anyway, I'll let you know what happens when I finish it, and then when I read the other 2 books. I think the other 2 books are going to be a lot more like monstery, not like monstery, but like non-human. Like, this is very much humans. A couple of them just have superpowers, and it's a very like side thing. I think the sea monster with the tentacle thing, that's going to be a little bit of a different experience, but I'm down. Okay, we're in Otto's room now. Come here. Look at this adorable shirt that Sarah sent. It's like a print of a little fox. It's so cute! You're so cute! Are you cute? Can I have a kiss? Can I have a kiss? Otto? Have a kiss. I'm gonna eat your cheeks. Oh. You tootin' or pooping? Okay, so I finished New Ground, whatever the book was that I was just reading. And I definitely liked the first half of it more than the second half. There was a really interesting, like, side plot that happened where, like, Dana was abducted by Henry's cousin and was gonna be, like, blackmailed for some, like, family drama thing. And it was like, oh, and it also went into a little bit of Dana's backstory, and I was not expecting to have to read like the thing that I avoid most in books, which is like traumatic birth experiences. So that kind of sucked to like read that in what I thought was just going to be a chill, trashy romance, especially like trying to read these to get away from my fear of having surgery in a few days. That was a little upsetting. So I didn't end up loving this book, but I do think that Alex Silver, who I guess is a trans guy, he has like 1 million books out. Ah, you got me. But I think he developed characters really well. I just wish that maybe it was a little bit shorter and like didn't have all of the weird side plots going on. Like it could have, you know, like the whole telepathy and telekinetic thing in itself was a fine enough subplot. I didn't really need like the royalty element, in my opinion. It was just too much. And yeah. 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 But I did also like that he chose to develop the relationship between Henry and Dana as well as Henry and Will, because it's obvious from the beginning that Henry and Will have like a really strong connection and like a psychic bond in a way, and he developed the relationship between Henry and Dana so that it was like a much different dynamic, which I thought was cool. It wasn't just like, you know, it wasn't like they each had the same relationship with Henry. It was like they all had a different dynamic. So I liked that. Okay, I'm back on my printing shit because I didn't have the right ink. So got some more ink. Need to replace that. And I will be printing more, and then I need to get them all packaged and stuff. I've been reading the Tentacle book. And it's a little bit of a wild time, I'm not gonna lie. Wait, is this gonna work though? This guy lives on his own island, and he's like jerking off into the sea, and this squid man creature comes up to him, saves him, kind of, and is like, hey, I need to plant my eggs into a host. And it takes really not a lot of convincing for this horny man to agree to host these octo-human eggs. So he puts implants them into his anus with his 2-foot long tentacle dick. And 8 days later, they have 6 babies together. And then a couple days later, the human comes inside of the octopus guy, and they get impregnated by the human, but I think they decide not to keep it. So it's a weird ass time. I wouldn't say I'm enjoying it. It's more hilarious. Like the last one I was really invested in the characters and everything. This one's just kind of fucking funny. Yeah, I would not recommend it, but it's something a little different if you're looking for that kind of thing. Definitely more of the kind of escapism I think I was looking for anyway. So it's got that going for it. Okay, I think maybe this is gonna work. Nope. Hello, wow. Honestly, holy shit, has it been a fucking month. So it's now November 27th. I did this, the beginning of this vlog, like a while ago. My printer's turning on, I don't know why. So here's like the situation, an update and an end to this vlog. I ended up reading 3 books and 1 short story. Do I remember what they are called? And I do not. Okay, so I read, the short story was the Ronion Triad by Rosalind Chase. And that was fine, but not really memorable because I don't remember it. I will update you on the surgery momentarily. Then I read New Ground, which is part of the Spireverse world, and this is by Alex Silver. So doing some more like deep diving into Alex Silver. He is a trans romance author. I think Alex Silver is still a pen name, but regardless, he has a ton of books out that are self-published, romance, super queer. There's one series that I'm actually really interested in reading, which is all about like D&D as a theme. And Alex Silver does like male-male romances, he does some polyamory, he does a lot of the daddy kink, he does a lot of like gender queer characters as well. So I think I really like his stuff, and honestly the stories are like engaging and interesting and also bring up like important points of queerness. Like I didn't think that I would kind of like connect as much as I did. So yeah, I actually really liked that. Of course my camera would be dying. Then I read The Sea Monster's Mate, and it was horrible. It was literally horrible. This guy goes and gets impregnated by like this octopus guy, and then they just like have these kids running around on an island that he owns, and it's pretty bad. I did pre-order this author's like alien romance. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, honestly, and I don't really know how to talk about it. And then I read Dithered Hearts, a taboo fantasy romance by Chase Verity, which is a Cinderella retelling, and it has a lot to do actually with like the exploration of identity and gender, which was good. I think that part was a lot more interesting than the actual like romance element, and I don't give a fuck about Cinderella, and I don't think that I ever want to read another Cinderella retelling, regardless of how queer it is. So honestly, that was kind of a miss for me as well. I am super surprised to say that New Ground by Alex Silver was by far my favorite of the books that I read in this little escapism treat week. Have read a couple other things since, mostly on audiobook. I finished The Bearable of the Talents while all this was happening, which is very much a different vibe. And I just finished Fox Hunt for the Climate Fiction Book Club because our live show is tomorrow. I'll leave that link down below if you want to watch it later after the fact. But yeah, so that's the reading. As for my surgery, it's now been a week since I had my surgery. It was really weird. They weren't able to find the IUD in my uterus, so they did have to do a laparoscopic surgery and go through my belly, and I've got some wild incisions, and they pulled it out of my belly button, and I was really out of it, and I have a lot of feelings about the medical industry and how they just push opioids on people. It's a very weird thing. I have a weird history with family and friends and addictions and things like that. So I did not fulfill my prescription for a medically prescribed opioid, but I did just take like 500 milligrams of Tylenol and was honestly feeling so much better than I have been for the last 5 months from the pain of having an IUD lodged in my abdomen. So that's interesting. Honestly, the thing that I can take away from all of this whole experience is trust your intuition, especially with medical things. There's so much medical gatekeeping. There's so much medical gaslighting. Like, the way that my pain has just not been taken seriously, especially postpartum, honestly. Like, when I was pregnant, my pain was taken more seriously because, you know, there's always a risk that the baby could be injured or something could be wrong. But postpartum, like, medical professionals don't really give a fuck anymore. Like, it's kind of messed up. And as, like, someone with the reproductive anatomy that I have, often, you know, there's a lot of gaslighting around pain specifically for that, where our pain isn't taken seriously. And honestly, if you have a uterus, you have just, you know, pain. It's just a thing that the majority of us live with, and is like, it's not talked about. I think, honestly, most people, I mean, most of us who have, you know, cycles, who have a uterus, like, we experience chronic pain, right? Like, if you're getting cramps every month, especially if they're so bad that they're debilitating, that you can't do anything, like, that is valid pain. And then on top of that, there are so many other conditions and issues that you can have, and that I've had, and like, I've been in pain, and it's wild to think about that, but it's also weird to think about how. So, okay, a couple days ago, I was like having a really weird dissociative day. I struggle with like dissociation and depersonalization / derealization. So sometimes I just feel like I'm not in my body at all. And I was feeling that way, and I was like, why am I so out of body right now? And I realized it was because I didn't have pain to like ground me, to like root me, to anchor myself to my body. And so it's like this weird dynamic of like, both being in pain is like bad, but it's also sometimes good for my mental state to like bring me back into my body, because it's so easy for me to just detach. And when I don't have pain, like, it's even easier. And that's a really weird thing for me to think about. But the good thing, I will end on a happy note. The good thing that came from this was that because I had anesthesia, because I had really intense pain meds in my body, I stopped chest feeding Otto, which was my goal for the end of the year. I wanted to slowly wean them off, and they'd already been mostly weaned off, just a few feedings in the middle of the night. And because I had all that in my body, I didn't want to feed that to them. So Otto's now weaned off milk, which means that I can officially start taking testosterone, and I'm very excited. And I'm excited to share my process and my journey and my feelings with you. I have a new therapist to kind of help me process all of this shit, and yeah, it's gonna be a weird time. It is going to be a weird time, but I'm excited for that. Yeah, that's all I've got. I'm actually gonna start the next vlog now because I have exciting ideas. And I haven't been posting a lot in November. It was honestly a horrifying month, but hopefully December brings us some more content. We'll see what happens. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. See you next time.